This is Reckoning by R.E.M. Let's talk records. It is late 1983 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Michael Stipe is drained, mentally and physically, after a brutal year of touring Murmur. The band is back in the studio, but Stipe can barely muster the energy to sing. Producers Mitch Easter and Don Dixon try everything to loosen him up, until Dixon pulls out an old gospel LP called The Joy of Knowing Jesus by the Revelaires. After the critical success of Murmur, R.E.M. wasted no time writing new material. Peter Buck even suggested making a double album. They had that many songs, but nobody else in the band was into it. They briefly considered working with Neil Young's producer Elliot Mazer, but ultimately stuck with Mitch Easter and Don Dixon, the same team behind Murmur. Recording started in December 1983 at Reflection Studios in North Carolina and wrapped in early 84. How long it took depends on who you ask. The studio diary says 16 days. The album sleeve claims 14. Buck said 11 in interviews, but Don Dixon insists it was more like 25. Meanwhile, IRS Records wanted a more commercial album. They were chasing that college radio meets mainstream crossover like they had with the Go-Go's. But Dixon and Easter kept most of the label's suggestions away from the band to protect their creative flow. The goal this time was to capture their live sound. On Murmur, Michael Stipe's vocals were famously buried in the mix. On Reckoning, they're clearer, thanks in part to a bizarre technique from Don Dixon, sticking microphones inside cardboard boxes to create a sort of DIY binaural effect. But Stipe was exhausted from non-stop touring. Early on, he was stiff in the studio, until Dixon played him an old gospel record he had found in the studio. Stipe started reading the liner notes into the mic, which turned into an off-the-cuff lead into Seven Chinese Brothers. The recording of Stipe's recital was released as Voice of Harold on the B-side of South Central Rain and later on Dead Letter Office. The spine of the LP says File Underwater. As a matter of fact, Stipe has said that the album was originally intended to be titled File Underwater. Water and death run throughout the record. Camera is a tribute to a friend of Stipe's who died in a car crash, and songs like South Central Rain are soaked in lost and longing. Some tracks like Pretty Persuasion and Don't Go Back to Rockville had been in their live set since the early 80s. The band almost left both off the album, feeling they were too old, but the producers pushed for them. Rockville was even meant to be a non-album single. Reckoning by R.E.M. was released April 9th in 1984. It peaked at number 27 on the Billboard 200. The cover art came from a collaboration with Athens folk artist and Baptist preacher Howard Finster. He painted over a drawing of a two-headed snake by Stipe. Finster had already appeared in the Radio Free Europe music video and would later design the cover for Talking Heads' Little Creatures. Reckoning wasn't a blockbuster, but it cemented R.E.M. as more than just a critics band. They clearly were building something enduring. Still one of the best second albums of all time.